Hello, everybody. Let's go on our topic. In the previous videos, we mentioned that for the same person, the input of sensory G waves with the same content can lead to completely different reactions. The reason for this difference is the different environments in which G are activated in their brain. Usually, a person's preferences or values do not change much within a short period, and the external environment that can activate the G in their brain can be controlled under certain conditions. Therefore, we can infer the distribution and activity patterns of the G in the brain based on the differences in their reactions at different times. If we are facing a relatively honest subject, this inference can become more accurate through effective communication. At the same time, we also know that although we are aware of the subject's G distribution and have coupled new G to their KG, that is, implanted new G and established G connections with the Kg. When the Kg is activated, it may still activate the original series of G along the previous G connections instead of necessarily activating the new G we implanted. That is to say, among the numerous G connected to a certain G, there is a competitive relationship. Ultimately, the direction in which the G wave is transmitted depends on the strength of the G in that direction or whether it is activated. Therefore, when implanting new G to help a patient recover, we should try to make the new G strong. It is best to couple the new G with some existing relatively strong and easily activated concept G in the patient's brain. In the previous videos, we also mentioned the extensiveness of characteristic internal structures. Among people who master a certain language, for any word, there is a similar type of G in their brain corresponding to it. When this type of G is activated, the generated characteristic internal structures are also the same. This ensures normal communication among people within this group. Note that in language, any word can have its own particularity. That is, its unique characteristic internal structure, for example, add and increase, disappear and fade away, criticize and accuse, etc. Although they have similar meanings, their characteristic internal structures are still different, and meticulous people will distinguish between them. Why do words with similar meanings have different characteristic internal structures? This is related to how the word is used in the environment people are in. The more frequently a certain usage of a word appears in the environment, together with the actual usage, it will be input as a sensory G wave multiple times. After projection, it will simultaneously activate the sound or character shape G of this word, as well as the cognitive G of this usage multiple times. Then the sound G or shape G of this word forms a relative stable G connection with the cognitive G of this usage due to the simultaneous activation effect. When someone wants to express this usage, the sound G or shape G of this word is activated, and the characteristic internal structure of the activation will participate in the behavioral G wave of speaking or writing, thus providing this usage of the word in their living environment. In a country when a certain language is spoken, the citizens receive a certain usage of a word in a similar environment multiple times and also express this usage of the word multiple times. This makes the meaning expressed by this word have a certain degree of stability. Similarly, if a word has several completely different usages in this country, and these usages often appear, then in the citizens' brains, the sound G or shape G of this word will form G connections with the cognitive G of multiple usages, and this word becomes a polysemous word. So, when facing a polysemous word, how do we know which meaning it represents? Besides some words having different pronunciations connected to different meaning G, we mostly judge through the context in which the word is used. For example, for the character ugly, we can tell whether it refers to unhygienic or internal organs through its pronunciation. Oh, not the word ugly. It's the Chinese word down. It's a multiple meaning word. It can be unhygienic or our internal organs. And for Chinese word 黄色, which means yellow, we often need to consider the context to determine whether it refers to the color or something about pornographic. Judging the meaning of a polysemous word through the context verifies what we just said. Under a certain G activation environment, the input of sensory G waves with the same content can lead to completely different reactions. Essentially, after the KG is activated, different G connections pathways are selected. The extensiveness of characteristic internal structures is essentially the extensiveness of G waves. Since the intensity of a G wave can be used as a characteristic internal structure, the content, pressure, or concentration changes of a certain substance in body fluids can also appear as characteristic internal structures. For example, the change in blood sugar concentration and its damage to multiple organs of a diabetic patient can also be regarded as the reshaping of G by G waves. When a mature individual produces germ cells, although the genetic material in the germ cells has a certain degree of stability, some G waves in the mature individual's body may cause gene mutations. During embryo development, the existence of multiple G waves in the mother's body reflects the joint action of multiple G in her body and the environment. Each G wave has its characteristic internal structure, and some of them can affect the fetus, thus imprinting the environment on the fetus's growth. Similarly, if we regard the ejaculation of a male individual as the input of a G wave and the conception and the birth of a fetus as the activation of a key G, then there are only two possible subsequent results: miscarriage or childbirth. The most direct determinant of which of these two results occurs is the physical condition of the pregnant woman, that is, the environment in which you are activated. Isn't it very similar to the different reactions after you are activated in the brain? The reason why the results of doing the same thing in relative reality are different is roughly the same. All right, that's all the content today. In next video, we will discuss the due theory about our brain in Chinese. Chinese is my um, home language. I will use it more freely and fluently. Okay, thanks for your listening. See you next time. Bye bye.